Welcome to episode 40 of Pera's Playbook. Today I'm joined by University of Findlay Oilers quarterback Alec Bornhorst. Alec, how's it going, man? Thanks for hopping on.
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. I like having people like we were talking before the podcast from all divisions, D1, D3, D2, it doesn't really matter because everyone's got a unique story, a unique journey. Um, and we're going to dive into your journey here. And, what better place to do that than to kind of start at the beginning of your college career? You spent quite a few years at University of Miami, Ohio, with the Red Hawks, D1 football. Start off your career. When you went to Miami, did you have any idea kind of how that would play out? Like, did you go in expecting to play eventually, or did you kind of go in with no expectations, kind of just let's see how these years go?
I came in as a preferred walk-on. It was funny, my roommate actually was the scholarship quarterback for the class and one of my best friends today. I came in with the mindset, and I think a lot of the walk-ons that you see excel down the road, all the guys that come in, you have to think that you're working like everyone else on the team. I think the biggest thing for any walk-on going in is don't look at yourself or don't compartmentalize yourself as a walk-on. I came in, I had friends that were walk-ons. I was obviously friends with all the guys that were on scholarship, and my thought process was to go in and work as hard as I could and do whatever I needed to do every day that I was in there. So it was the biggest thing for me. I came in, I was 6'4", but I was 190 pounds. And the biggest thing was, hey, who's this lanky, skinny kid that is probably not fully developed yet and has no idea what's going on. So biggest thing was hitting the weight room and, like I said, doing everything I could, trying to soak up as much information. The difference between a high school offense and a college offense is night and day. I mean, we were learning stuff that I never even knew existed when walking onto a football field. In high school, my mindset was, all right, go out there and, do whatever I've done for the however long. I've been playing football since I was 6. So it was like, oh, this is nothing new. We'll just show up and do what I need to do. And then you get to college and you're sitting in meeting rooms and looking at stuff. You're like, wow, that probably would have been nice to know in high school. It makes sense looking at it now. So just going into Miami, I didn't really know what to expect, but I knew, working hard could never put me in the wrong spot. And I was, fortunate enough to be surrounded by a great group of friends on the team. And so we kind of did what we were all on different paths as well. One of my best friends started freshman year, played all 4 years, and is at Virginia now. He transferred there his grad year. And so we were on different paths, but all knew that hard work was going to get us in the right spot. And, I was surrounded by a lot of great quarterbacks in that room. Like I said, my roommate was, got to play and started a few games at Miami, played at Arkansas State after that. Freshman below us, Brett Gabbert's still there. And he's one of the top players in school history when you look at all the statistics. His backup, Avion, has been excelled last year when Brett had his few weeks out. And so just, I was surrounded by a lot of great players, and I never got my chance to see the field. But one of the biggest things was I always wanted to be a part of the traveling and the atmosphere and be in the locker room and dressing and everything like that. And the way I found I was able to do that was by being the signaler. So I was able to get in and felt like I was a part of all this offense and everything, being someone that was sending in plays. And so that was a lot of fun for me. It kept me in the game and kept me, working each week. So that was the biggest thing. And after Miami, I got through my 4 years. I graduated in 3.5. I wouldn't change anything about my journey at Miami. Everyone that I spent time around at Miami was someone that shaped me to be the person I am today. And I appreciate everything that they did for me there. And I just felt like after I graduated, I want to go find a spot that I could, compete and get back onto the football field. So next stop was Findlay. I don't know if you had any other questions or any comments about my journey at Miami or stuff like that. So before we move on.
You said that you never, touched the field, but if nobody knows you and they only look at your bio, you could totally pretend that you played in a game at Buffalo. I mean, you could
Yeah.
just, it says it in the bio, saw action at Buffalo. So for anyone who doesn't know you, and never seen, knows your story, you could just totally
Yeah,
tell
I'm the
people,
guy.
hey,
I'm
I
the
played at
guy.
Buffalo.
Exactly. No one's gonna look up the stats for the game either, So
Right.
we'll just say I had a couple hundred yards and a few touchdown passes at
Yeah.
Buffalo. That was it. I just showed
Yeah.
up, did what I needed to
Exactly.
do. Yeah.
I think that thing you mentioned about mindset is kind of important, about being a walk-on. You don't want to have a different mindset like than the scholarship guys. You just, obviously want to work hard. You want to help the team succeed. And at the end of the day, you're practicing, in the same team. You're playing against each other. You're running the same drills. You're putting on the same jersey, whether you're setting foot on the field or not. You're doing all the same things at the end of the day. So you're all D1 athletes, whether you're walk on or scholarship. That really, doesn't change it, obviously. And like you said, everyone's on different paths. Obviously you didn't end up playing at Miami, but it's not like those 3 years didn't help you, get to where you are now, build confidence, build experience, learning, and all that and that different, stuff. So when you entered the transfer portal, did you have any thoughts where you wanted to go? Did you want to play D1 still? Did you care? Obviously you're at D2 now, but like, was that a thought when you entered in, like, oh man, I really want to stay D1, or was it more just, hey, I want to go somewhere where I can play?
I think the thought process was, let me see what's out there. I got in the transfer portal at a time where it was complete chaos, which it still kind of is, but it was all right. What's available to me, and
Yeah.
it's going to set me up to put me in the best position to not only be able to possibly play, but get my grad degree and work towards the future. So going in, like I said, it was chaos. I had calls from schools that, hey, we'd love to see what you're about. We got a guy ahead of you on our list, but we'll catch up here with you soon. And then, you reach out and you never hear back from them again after that one call. So there was a lot of frustration with it. I think one of the biggest things that people looking from the outside don't see is you see a lot of guys in the transfer portal. You're looking at the big quarterbacks that, hey, they leave a school and go directly to another one. And I was in the area where I didn't have any college game experience. I mean, my highlight film was practice reps that I got over 4 years. So I was trying to piece together stuff to show, hey, high school was 4 years ago. You jump in the transfer portal, coaches aren't going to be looking for what was this kid like 4 years ago when he was playing in high school. So you kind of get lost in that group. And I don't remember the stat, but that year I think there was something around some crazy number of quarterbacks that had entered into the portal, and maybe 10% of them found schools. So I was one of the lucky ones to be able to find Findlay. And the funny story about that is I was planning on traveling up. We're getting towards school starting back up in the spring, and I still hadn't found a place. And I was traveling back up to move my stuff out of my Miami house. And the day before, I get a call from the Findlay coach saying, hey, Coach Allen calls me up. He goes, hey, we're not really sure what slipped past us when looking at transfer portal quarterbacks. We're looking for a quarterback and would love to have you come up and visit at some point here soon. Would you be able to do that? And I was getting ready to leave to head to the airport to fly up there anyways. So I was like, yeah, I'm heading up anyways. I'll be there tomorrow. And show up the next day, do a little workout. Day after that, they say, we'd love to have you here. And then I think school started for them that Monday. So within a week, I got first talked to them, visited, got offered and then turned around and moved into Findlay and started classes and maybe 8 days later. So it was just a strange process and something that, I never would have expected. And I was looking at it like, what am I going to do for the next 6 months? Maybe I'll try to get in somewhere in the fall. And it just kind of fell into place. So,
That had to be chaotic though. Like
oh,
8 days of from going, I don't know where I'm gonna be, to now I've got a new place, I've got to start a new school, I'm on a new team, I've got to move my stuff, new classes, like just all at once.
yeah, it was wild. It was, like I said, quick turnaround. There was a lot of relief. And then after the relief passed, it was anxiety. It's, what am I doing?
Right.
What's going on here? I don't even know what's happening. So,
Yeah. So let's dive into year one here for you. You appeared in 9 games, and most of it, you're looking at your thing until the end of the season was a lot of rushing yards. You had 3 rushing touchdowns. Were those like special packages they had, designed QB runs that they'd stick you in there? Is that kind of throughout the season what your main role was until you started to pass a little bit?
yeah, so it started out as, hey, you're a pretty big guy. We'll throw you in there and see if you can run the ball for some design QB runs. And as those worked out more and more, it moved into, let's see what you can do, splitting reps and stuff like that. And the other quarterback here last year, Jeremy, was also a transfer, and he had talked to them saying, "Hey, look, I've been in two QB systems before," and so we were able to work through that and eventually went on to do every other drive, no matter how either one of us were doing. And somehow it worked out in ways that you don't see with two QB systems. I mean, I think we started it with 6 or 7 weeks left in the season and ended the season with 6 straight wins running 2 quarterbacks, which, doesn't make much sense, but somehow worked out for us. And he was we worked out and worked well enough together that it was a pretty cool situation. So
Yeah, you don't get many, oftentimes where there's like a 2 QB system. I think Auburn, they've got one right now where they're doing Peyton Thorne and Robbie Ashford, and that that works for them. But most teams, they pick their starter, they roll with them once in a while. Maybe on a like a 3rd and 1 or something, they put in the backup so they don't get their starter hurt. But they don't really. That's not really a true 2 QB system. And if you look at the pros too, the same thing. There's really not many. For a couple of years there with the Saints, and still now kind of. I mean, Taysom Hill he's like a tight end. Sometimes he's a QB. So I guess sometimes it's like they run a 2 QB system because sometimes they throw him in there. But yeah, you generally don't see that, and to see it succeed that's really cool. It also says a lot about your coaching staff and the faith that they had in you guys, and the ability, the play calling and designing plays for both of you specifically. And it really says a lot about your program. Do you remember your first touchdown pretty distinctly?
I do. Yeah, it was funny. We played Hillsdale a few weeks ago, and the first thing that popped into my head when we showed up was this is where I scored my first touchdown. So it was a we were down around the 2 yard line and we're doing a rollout pass, and the linebackers had gotten a little wider than I was able to continue rolling out, and wasn't going to get the corner, so I cut it up and found a way to sneak myself in and reach out over the goal line. So that was my first touchdown. It was a cool experience, especially after all those years of being on the sideline and being in college football, yet to play it down. So that was cool for me.
Yeah, all that hard work finally paid off. Everything you've been working towards, like you said, all those years at Miami, all the time at Findlay, then when you get that first touchdown, it makes it all worth it. And that's why you play the game. Obviously, that's why you work hard. So going into this year, where was the team at for kind of starting quarterback? Was it going to be a competition? Was it, hey, this is your job? What was what did the coaching staff tell you, going into the off season and coming into this season?
It came in with, you know, you had a lot of great reps last year, but it's going to be a competition. And one of the biggest things, and they interviewed us before the season, some of the players during our media day. It's how do you look at competition? And I've always welcomed competition. I think, as I've gotten older, I realized that doing things that are difficult and doing things that you're competing in or doing something that makes you uncomfortable is what really makes you grow. So I felt that competing going into the season and knowing not the coaches coming in and saying, hey, look, you played last year, you're going to be our starter, was something that allowed me to continue to improve as a person and build. And knowing that I could do it was a lot of help, obviously, because I had the experience, but it wasn't something where I'm sitting back and getting comfortable with, making mistakes or anything like that. It's, hey, you still have to show up every day competing for the job and knowing that at any given moment, you could lose your spot and stuff like that. So that was something that really helped my approach going into this season and has definitely, shaped how it's gone so far.
Right. Well, for those who don't know, you got the starting job, and you've played really well, which has to make you feel good. Another thing, all those years kind of building up to this one, your completion percentage above 66%, over 1,200 passing yards, 9 TDs, almost 400 rushing yards, and 6 TDs. And I feel like quarterback is kind of one of the few positions where you can look, pretty much at statistics and determine if somebody's playing well or not. There's a lot of other positions where there's a lot of other factors. A running back, maybe he doesn't have the highest rushing yards, but he's blocking really well, and that's helping his game, and he's playing super well that way. But if you look at a quarterback and they've got a 30% completion percentage, and they got 10 interceptions with 2 touchdowns, they're obviously not playing well. So just looking at your stats, obviously you're playing super well. And I kind of wanted to dive into 2 of your best games, personally. The first one being the Hillsdale game this year. Your completion percentage in that game was crazy, almost 77%. And you had 229 yards, 3 TDs, and almost 60 rushing yards. When you were going through that game, and you're completing all your passes, does that get in your head at all? Like, boy, I've got a really good completion percentage right now. I don't want to screw this up, or do you just kind of push that kind of stuff out of your mind? What's going on through your head? Obviously, things sneak in there, panics, doubts, anxieties.
I'd say it was less panics, doubts, and anxieties about my completion percentage and more, the thing that's helped me the most this year is we got a lot of guys that have gotten a lot of college reps, and they're trusting me. So my job and every week, my approach is get it into the hands of the guys that are going to go out and make the plays. I think, you said quarterbacks, you look at their stats, you could tell whether they're playing well or not. And I think, my stats also show how well our offense is playing.
Oh yeah.
Rushing yards, there have been a lot of games where I've had, a decent amount of rushing yards, and half those rushes I wasn't even touched until I'm 12 yards downfield, just because of the blocking and how that's worked out, as well as the receivers being able to get open. We got guys that can go out and make plays and are a threat through the air, and my job is just to make sure that they're able to do their job. So it's breaking it up into, can I get the ball into their hands? And I've been fortunate enough to, again, be surrounded by guys that if I get the ball in their hands, they're going to go do what they do best. And that's make plays. So I think that's more of these guys trust me, and I have to make sure that they can continue to trust me by just letting them do their jobs and do what they do. So
Yeah. I think that, that's good to note, like you mentioned, about the fact that you're having good statistics. That means everybody's doing their job. I mean, football it's one of the biggest team games in the world. If one guy misses his assignment, if one guy misses a block, you guy runs the wrong route, then things are gonna, they're not gonna unfold the way you want. But when everybody does their job and when you play as a team, and it all works out, and then you're gonna have good stats, that guy's gonna have good stats, but it all builds together. You guys just had a really tough loss with Northwood, 3-point loss. Obviously, those one score losses are the worst. They sting the most because how close they were. I guess a positive, for you is you had another great game personally. You went over 300 yards, which I feel like is kind of a benchmark for quarterbacks. You're having a great day. You hit that 300-yard mark. You're having a great day passing. But a loss like that obviously too can show you a lot of things moving forward, for the future, what you guys can work on. And obviously, like I said, the close losses sting the most, but they show you you're not that far behind other teams, or you're not doing that bad. Maybe it was just a few mistakes, and those can be fixed. So looking at that game and then kind of looking towards the future, what are your thoughts, or what have kind of your coaches said, and different things moving forward?
Yeah, looking back at this past Saturday, I think there's a lot of positives that you can pick out of it and a lot of negatives. And I think that's any game. And the idea this year for us has been win or lose. Let's take out the outcome and look at what we can improve on and what we did well. So it's always been, we're not worrying about wins or losses. We're going to worry about going into each game as a new one, first of all, and two is going into it as a fight rather than looking at an outcome. It's always this year, the big thing has been fight over outcome. It's, the outcome is going to work itself out if you win the fight. So going in each play is a new fight. Doesn't matter what happened on the last one. It doesn't matter what's happening on the next one. It's how are you going to approach and, like I said earlier, do your job. And we still have everything laid out in front of us. I think it's really we can write our own destiny at this point on. Even after last weekend, it's just there's no room for any give. So I think that it'll show a lot how we are as a team and how we perform over the next few weeks with our backs against the wall. And I think all of our guys are focused on taking what we learned Saturday and improving and moving forward. And then, understanding that every week, it doesn't matter who you line up across from, they're going to be wanting to fight just as much as you. And it's making sure that you're doing your job and out fighting them on every play. So that's really the biggest thing moving forward. And what we're looking forward to as a team is just getting back out there. The first thing you want to do after a loss is you want to go out and immediately play again. So it's just taking each day step by step and working towards Saturday. So.
And in some respects, you have to have a short memory too. Like, you can't let that loss dwell. It's over. It's done with. There's nothing you can do about that now, but you can respond moving forward. And it's like that. I feel like kind of with every sport, it's like that with life just in general. It's not always about the loss or the fact that you lost. It's about how you respond moving forward in your life, in your season and whatever it is. So I wish you guys the best of luck, with the rest of your season. And there's no reason why you guys can't, like you said, respond and with your backs against the wall. Sometimes, that's where the biggest fight comes out of a team.
Exactly.
One thing I like to mention, I like to bring up a lot because I'm just a huge jersey guy. Is I look at teams' jerseys, and sometimes that's how I judge a team. Does this team have nice jerseys? They look clean, or these ugly colors and this stupid logo? And you guys have some pretty nice jersey combinations. I really like the orange jersey. I think orange is it's a solid color. But you're all blacks. Those are pretty sweet too. Do you have a favorite jersey combination that you guys have?
It's tough. I mean, orange and black and white, I feel like are just, it's hard to go wrong with those colors. So
Yeah.
as much as the blacks look good, so do the orange and black, and the all white with the orange and black. I mean, it's really, that's one thing that is has been pretty cool is we have some uniforms that I feel like are look good on in any combination that you put them in. So that's kind of been fun being here. So
Yeah, definitely. It's true colors, it's also like the colors you have, your school has. I mean, you only got so much to work with. I mentioned this in the last episode. Some schools like Bowling Green, I mean, they've got brown. That's a tough color to work with. It's not the greatest color for awesome jerseys. Different schools, some greens, it depends on the shade of green. They don't look the best. Some schools just have awesome colors to work with. Like I feel like North Carolina, that powder puff blue, that's a sweet color. You can do a
yeah,
lot with that color. Um, Alabama, they stick to the basics, but it's kind of just a basic color. Maroon, it's not, doesn't pop, doesn't flash. Like you said, orange and black, they really go well together. White goes well together. You can do a lot of combos with that. And like I always say, and everyone always says, you look good, you play good, you feel good, and if you're out there and you're like, man, we look like clowns, we look so stupid, like you're not gonna play good. So it's always good when you like it. I like the jerseys, and then your school spirit. You want to rep your squad.
and
So
I think it.
moving to. Oh, you're
Sorry,
gonna say
I
something?
think it
Sorry.
helps. No, no, you're fine. It was. I think it helps a lot with recruiting.
Oh
Too.
yeah. Oh
As much as
yeah.
guys don't want to talk about, hey, like I picked the school because of the colors. I mean, if two schools are even, but one has cooler colors, you're gonna just lean subconsciously towards that one because you want
Yeah.
to you want to be out there and you want something cool to wear, and especially helps too because you get all the extra stuff other than the jersey. You want to walk around in some stuff that looks pretty cool too. So
Yeah, you get t-shirts, backpacks, all the
yeah,
all the swag. If it's ugly
exactly.
swag, you don't want it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I think right now that's one of the biggest things with recruiting it. It's like how can a school sell themselves in a non-football, like obviously people want to play for a good program, but also, you've got NIL stuff and then it's facilities and like do you look good? Obviously like Oregon, one of their selling points always is they got swag out there. I mean, their jerseys and their combos, you're always going to get something unique. There's always it's an awesome brand. So, like you said, if you're going to pick between two schools, if I'm picking between Bowling Green and North Carolina, I'm going to pick North Carolina. I'm going to go with that powder puff blue and that pair of Air Jordans they probably gave me or whatever. I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Oh man, yeah, it's funny to think about that kind of stuff sometimes. I'm sure there's not a lot of people who have to decide between Bowling Green and North Carolina, but maybe I don't know.
I feel like usually the choice is relatively easier on that decision, but
Yeah.
it was boiled down just to jerseys, yeah, for sure.
Right. Yeah. I know if you're picking between North Carolina and Bowling Green on a football level, it's a pretty easy choice of where you want to succeed. So, did you have a favorite, football team growing up, NFL team?
Yeah, so I was born in near Indianapolis. I've moved around a lot as a kid, but grew up during the Peyton Manning era. So,
Okay, yeah.
Colts fan since as long as I can remember. And I could at the time I could name all probably 40 guys on the roster for the Colts just because it was during the time where if they weren't making it deep into if they weren't making the Super Bowl, they were making it deep in the playoffs and somehow losing to Tom Brady in snowy Foxborough. And I'm going to bed crying. I'm 7 years old. My favorite team just lost. So it was always the Colts growing up, still is now. Lots changed since those days. I mean, we a little bit of a rough patch, but hopefully Colts can turn it around here moving forward.
Lots to be happy about looking at the future, though. Anthony Richardson looks like the
Yeah.
real deal. I mean, if he'd stop getting hurt, and part of it is a lot of people said he needs to stop running the way he's running. I mean, he's a big guy. He can run, but the more quarterbacks run, and he's not going to do your Lamar Jackson. He's not going to be shifty when he runs because he's so big. But he's a, one out of the rookie quarterbacks. Him and CJ Stroud look like the two best so far. Bryce Young's having a little bit of a struggle to start. So yeah, as a Colts fan, I'd be like super happy to have Anthony Richardson as the future. And you guys are lucky that you got Gardner Minshew as the backup. He's a pretty good
I
backup
know,
to have.
seriously. Yeah. And it's just nice that we're not getting some quarterback signed on a 1-year deal that's at the end of his career too, finally.
Right.
What was it? Philip Rivers, Carson Wentz. It was
Matt
like,
Ryan.
look, yeah, Matt Ryan. These guys firm decisions here. Let's just draft a guy and start from scratch. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to feel good as a fan when your team does that. They sign the kind of just the rental option because they're not thinking about winning
yeah.
really.
No, it's
Let's just
just
get
all
us
right.
through one more season.
Exactly. So
Who was
let's
your
go for
favorite
that.
player? Was it Peyton Manning?
It was. Yeah, I wore, 18 was my favorite number always. I think it changed at Miami. I think I was 18 in high school, if I remember correctly. I mean, it's been a while, but Miami came in with 17, and I'm just stuck from there. But Peyton Manning was my favorite player growing up. Even when he went to the Broncos, I think it was, hey, I'm a Colts fan, but Peyton Manning first and foremost. So I was lucky enough to go to the 2 Colts Super Bowls, the one against the Bears, and I think what, 05, 06, something like that, and then against the Saints in 09. Just through my dad's job and him being able to get tickets. And I mean, that was obviously the Bears one was interesting. The Bears, Devin Hester returns the opening kickoff for a touchdown, and you're sitting there like, oh shoot, what's going to happen? And then it's also torrential downpour for about 3 straight hours. So that one was a blast, just being able to experience a win. And then the Saints one was obviously on the other end of the spectrum. Leaving with a loss was tough, but I definitely cherished those experiences and was lucky to be a part of that. So
Yeah, that had to have been a ton of fun as a kid. Go watch your favorite team in the Super Bowl, your favorite player, all the above. It had to have been awesome. Peyton's just, I don't know how people like. I know, there can't be many people who dislike him. I mean, he's just he's so funny. He's got such an awesome personality. He seems like just a good human being. It's hard to not like the Mannings. They're all good people. Eli, they all seem like good, honest guys. I mean, it's hard to want to bet against the Mannings.
yeah, I mean, you never hear anything bad about them. So, and then you always see the Pat McAfee stories about Manning and stuff like that, or the Manning cast or whatever they do for the games. It's always, not only is he funny, but you could tell he's just a good person, like you said.
Yeah,
So
he's genuine.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, work ethic probably unmatched when it comes to any quarterback that's played in the NFL. I mean, he's a guy that may not have had all the arm strength and everything like that, but knew exactly what everyone was doing at all times on the field. So it was yeah, he's a pretty amazing player and good person, it seems like, too. So
Yeah, for sure, definitely is. What's your favorite non-football sport?
probably had to be golf. I grew up playing golf. My dad was a big golfer in high school. He ended up placing second state his senior year of high school, and so that was always something that he raised us going to the course and different stuff like that. And whenever we'd go on vacation, it'd be, oh, let's find a new local course to play. He actually took me down for my 21st birthday down to TPC Sawgrass, where they play the Players Championship down in Florida, and that was a really cool experience. So if I had to pick another sport, it'd probably be golf. But I also loved playing basketball. I played that when I was a lot younger too, and then all through high school. So golf and then basketball is a close third.
Do you golf much still with football, consuming so much of your life?
Yeah. During the season, no. And then after the season, being in Ohio, as you know, up there in the UP, it's wait a long time before you can go play some golf. One of the cool things at Miami is, we'd be in Oxford, Ohio in the summer. And I don't know if you've ever been anywhere near Oxford, Ohio, but it's cornfields, flat land, and a little town pops up. And I think it goes from 30,000 in population during the school year to about 6,000 during the summer when all the students leave. So it's the football players and everyone that lives there, year round. So my roommate that I mentioned earlier, AJ, him and I would go out and we'd play probably a round of golf a day all summer. So the only thing was, I'd play all the golf, get really good towards the end of the summer. Football would start, and then I come back in the spring, and the game's completely gone. I'm sitting there just getting pissed off at myself because I wanted to. So
yeah, slice it into the bushes, and you're
yeah, exactly.
What's your favorite food?
It's a tough one. I always enjoy good steak. I love making steak when I can and stuff like that. I'll run over to the store and grab a steak and make it probably once a week at my house. But if I had to go something specific that would probably be different than a lot of people is Skyline chili. Cincinnati chili over spaghetti with some cheese.
Yeah.
It's something that if you're not from Cincinnati or don't have any connection to Cincinnati, you sit there and why would anyone ever eat this? And then you ask Cincinnati and they're like, oh my God, it's Skyline chili. So my dad grew up in Dayton close enough and went to school at UC in Cincinnati there. So he grew up with it. And then we used to get cans from the grocery store and make it wherever we lived when we were little. So that'd probably have to be one of my favorite all-time meals for sure.
Yeah. What do you guys eat for like pregame meals or like meals as a team? Is it pretty like chicken, pasta, that kind of stuff? Or depends on, I suppose that'd be more the earlier the game, is it more breakfast food then?
Yeah, it kind of, like you said, depends. This past weekend we played at 1, so it was all breakfast food. I mean, eggs, bacon, sausage, potatoes, stuff like that. But we'll play a later game or something like that, or play, at home where we're getting breakfast and then going somewhere and eating right before the game too. And that'd be, salad, chicken, more normal things you would think of for a pregame meal. So
Do you like to eat a lot before you play, or do you just like to eat a little bit?
the pregame meal is my least favorite meal of the week. I wake up and I'm nervous from the minute that I wake up, never hungry. It's usually force myself to eat some food, and then nervous until I get out there and get hit once. So make a play or something where I'm out there and then it all disappears. So my pregame meals are usually, there's no taste to it for me mentally, and then it's just eat as much as I can because I know I need to, and then wait until I'm after the game.
Yeah, well, some of your offensive linemen are probably over their big platefuls, just getting ready for the action.
Yeah, exactly. So
I've been asking a lot of questions to people, different sports about what their like team's pregame playlist is, and I'm determined to find a team that doesn't listen to rap pregame. So it's pretty consistent. Most teams have 90% rap on their playlist, maybe a few other things mixed in there. What do you guys have on the pregame locker room playlist or whatever when you're getting hyped up?
pregame locker room playlist, you're gonna get rap. During the week for practices, we have different days, so it'll be Tuesday is rap, Wednesday is country, and then Thursday is throwbacks. So you get a little variation during the week. Pregame, definitely rap. I usually, like a rap on occasional different situations, but usually have my headphones in, kind of listening to different variety of stuff. So
yeah. Well, you guys listen to country during the week. That's one of the closest I've come to a team listening to country. I told some one of the last episodes I had on, I said I'm determined to find a team that their pregame locker room music is country. There's got to be one somewhere. Some school from the South has got country music blaring in the locker room pregame. It's out there somewhere.
Yeah, I wish you the best of luck. I'd love to see what school does it, because that would definitely be an interesting thing to find for sure.
It's going to become a staple question on the podcast. Pregame music. Even, it doesn't have to be country. I mean, that'd be funny just to hear. But there's got to be a team that's like, all we listen to is heavy metal, or all we listen to is Taylor Swift, or whatever it is before the
get some classic rock
somebody
going before kickoff. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you said, it's going to be rap most of the time, but there's a lot of colleges in the United States. There's got to be some of them that are doing something a little different.
Yeah, no, I mean, the odds are that there's at least one, but
yeah, the odds of finding that one,
yeah, that's a little tougher.
Yeah. So what kind of music do you like personally? You know, if you're just gonna sit and jam to some tunes.
I would say probably, I've never been a big music guy.
Yeah.
I listen to whatever's on, and I enjoyed, so many different genres. If I'm just sitting around picking something to play, it'd definitely be country. But I'll listen to, I got a playlist that's all just chill, like calming music and stuff like that. And I'll flip that on when I'm working on homework or something like that, or just, hanging out on the bus and want to relax a little bit. So I'd say my favorite genre is tough to pick, because there's so many wide varieties that I do enjoy, and it really just depends on whatever situation I'm in. So
yeah, whatever catches your mood.
Yeah, exactly. Depends on the time and day. So
right. Well, Alec, thanks for hopping on the podcast. Wish you guys the best of luck with the rest of the season. Wish you the best of luck with the rest of your season. So thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, no, thanks again for having me. I really enjoyed it. First time on a podcast, so I appreciate you.
Hey, if you're on a bunch more, throughout your life, you'll have to say the first was Pera's Playbook.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'll give you a shout out. This is I'm doing it on the next one, so I'll to stop by here and check out the original.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks.